Well, now it's been, what, 2.5, 3 months since I've started my channel. And after having only just short of, 150 subs, I've received 2 response videos, both within a week of each other. Now, I knew I was going to piss off these types. So, since these are 2 different vegans, I will break this down into 2 different videos. So let's call this Vegans Go 2-on-1 with me. And this will be, obviously, part 1.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please do not abuse, harass, or threaten anyone on this video that I'm about to take down. This means please do not go to their channel. But whatever you do, I'm not your papa.
So I had seen a comment that me pointing out the hypocrisy of the YouTube vegans has inspired this guy to start a channel. And he wants to debunk, well, me. Well, I'm glad to be an inspiration. So let's see if we can finally have found a clever vegan that makes great points.
Alrighty, so here we go. Okay, so I stumbled across this guy in the comment section of an Ask Yourself video going by the name Pagan Minotaur, and he seems to really want some attention from Ask Yourself. He really seems to want a response video. So I thought, hey, I'll give him a response video.
I'm about to whip somebody's ass. Oh, I'm about to whip somebody's ass.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm definitely sure.
Suplex. Repeat.
Hey guys, so this is a quick video, straight to the point. This is a call out to the entire skeptic anti-SJW community.
Hello, Ask Yourself. I'm the Pagan Minotaur.
And I'm the ugly teddy bear.
Oh man, my mic was shit then. I mean, you went to my 3rd video to make your response video from. I do have to give you props. It is the video I did give the most majority of my stance most vegans care fuck all to look at. I had respect.
Suplex. Repeat.
Many of you have surely noticed the recent debates between the vegan community and high-profile anti-SJW YouTubers.
To be honest, I've only seen the one with Bearing and Vegan Gains, which truthfully felt like it ended in a stalemate.
I think it was actually a really clear, decisive win for Vegan Gains. I just remember, like, I still am a bit of a Barian fan, and like back then I thought Vegan Gains was a spaz when I first saw that. And I thought, even when I liked Barian and I didn't like Vegan Gains all that much, or I thought he was just a meme, I still could tell that it was really quite a decisive win for Vegan Gains. I mean, there was points where Barian said that he wouldn't kill a dog, but he would kill a pig, and he admitted that was hypocritical. And he said that, like, if he saw a pig get killed, it would break his heart. And even Crown T said after the debate that they got thrashed. Like, he admitted it, and he basically said sorry for not taking the debate seriously. So if that's a stalemate in your mind, I don't know what it would take for the vegans to win. I think you have to admit you're being a bit biased there.
Now, from the time that I have recorded this, I have watched a few more debates. And to clarify, I had stopped watching the Bearing debate at a certain point. I mean, when debates get circular, I lose interest. I mean, the 10th German suplex of John Cena, you kinda want to change the channel. Problem is, you know it's over. You think, okay, 5 more suplexes and F5, the 1, 2, 3 pin. You don't expect an out-of-nowhere schoolboy roll-up from a Cena to win. So yes, I got bored as hell. I didn't finish watching the debate. So I missed the Vegan Gains comeback. So a bit biased, perhaps. So you got me on a point. Very well done. Let's continue. Vegans and vegetarians, which I personally don't see a difference in.
Okay, so you don't see a difference between vegans and vegetarians. That's a bit ludicrous, and to think that you're like talking about it when you don't know that simple difference. You don't even need to be into veganism or vegetarianism or whatever to know the difference. If you've watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, you probably know the difference. Check the definitions. It's the difference. It's one, vegetarians, they don't eat meat. but use all the other animal products. Vegans don't use any animal products. So eggs, milk, leather, honey.
You know, after doing this video, I have learned the difference. It's a subtle difference, however, it's enough to piss off a vegan to compare them as the same. But you, sir, are the first vegan to point this out to me, so about that, thank you.
Put bluntly, most anti-SJWs and skeptics are not vegan. They are not intellectually honest. They cannot refute our arguments, yet they insist on continuing in their murderous ways.
Respectfully, I would like to think a majority of us have not murdered an animal as you so eloquently put it. So I don't understand what you mean by murderous ways. If you mean consume what was already on the market, then yes, we are meat consumers. The majority of us did not go out and kill the animal, which then, if we are being intellectually honest, brings your quote, murderers, end quote, to a much smaller number. You said you wanted honesty. That is an honest statement for what I will assume to be a majority of us.
If you're paying to have something killed, paying to have it murdered, then you're the murderer. If a dude hires an assassin to kill someone, he's a murderer, even if he's not the one who does it personally. So that argument's wrong.
I did not pay the hunter, nor the farmer, nor the slaughterhouse directly. I paid the guy who paid the guy who paid the guy. By your logic, if I buy an antique ivory chessboard, I killed said elephant, or whatever animal. But you see, I would have bought it for it being an antique, not because it's ivory.
Suplex, repeat.
I will admit that yes, I am an omnivore, just as nature and evolution has made us to be.
Nature and evolution's made us so that we get cancer. It's made us so that we, I don't know, have violent tendencies. Rape is natural, really, because, you know, animals do it. A lot of things natural, a lot of things are beneficial from an evolutionary point of view. It's not an argument that that thing is a good thing or not.
Did I say it was or wasn't a good thing? No. I just pointed out it was a common sense, obvious fact.
Suplex, repeat.
I feel my justifications are sound.
I guarantee you that they're not sound, but go ahead.
Oh yes, finally. I will get proven absolutely wrong. Alright. Woot woot, let's do this. To start, I concede to the fact that yes, people can, in fact, live on plants and whatnot alone. Many people the world over have proven this to be true. But the estimated world population is about 7.4 billion people, according to statisticbrain.com, linked in the description. 26% of the world's population is considered to be starving. The total number of people that die each year from hunger is about 7,665,000.
That number could be a lot less, and we could feed a lot more people if we weren't feeding so much of our plant food to animals, which then return much less food in the form of meat. Because obviously when you add a middleman, things become less efficient, and you get less final product, less food, more starving people.
Got it. So all the crops grown that is not fit for human consumption feed to vegans. Check.
Suplex, repeat.
According to worldwatch.org, of the approximately 880 million people living in rural areas living on less than $1 a day, 70% are partially or completely dependent upon livestock for their livelihoods and or food security.
Well, I think if there was more plant food to go around, they wouldn't necessarily be so dependent on meat. But for the small number that are truly dependent on meat, that's a matter of survival, so it's a completely different thing. More of a grey area. I probably would say, I lean towards saying let them eat the meat. Some people probably would say nah, but you can't really start talking about the grey areas like that, where you're talking about killing for survival, while you're still trying to justify killing for pleasure and taste. You're not a third world starving person who needs to eat meat, so you can't use that to justify you or any other first world person eating meat.
So if you live in a first world country, you don't ever have to be in survivor mode. That's awesome. No homeless people live in these countries. Oh wait, I was one about 2.5 years ago. Well, fuck, that just shot that argument in the ass.
Suplex repeat.
Farmers take great care of the animals. We as humans, after many generations, have made these livestock animals evolve.
Made them evolve, or hideously deformed them by selectively breeding unhealthy traits. These creatures are not their natural form. And I know you're going to go on to say that they'll go extinct, or these forms of the animal will go extinct, which is probably a good thing. I mean, for example, you wouldn't have a problem with Down syndrome becoming an extinct form of human, because it's a deformity. If we cured it somehow, that wouldn't be a tragedy. In the same way that if these animals weren't allowed to breed, then them going extinct, not really extinct because the wild versions would still exist, it wouldn't be a tragedy because they're sick.
Oh God. Oh Lordy. You're killing me, Smalls. Okay, we can do this, Pagan. Wow. Unhealthy traits. So your argument is that our livestock is retarded? That is a hoot. I give you selective breeding, but I hope you have evidence that proves that these animals are sick. You don't, do you? Do you? No, you don't. So let's say these animals are retarded. It's okay to kill off this breed of animal because it's retarded? So we should kill off black people because they are more likely to suffer from heart disease. So they are sick. Now look, I know you might say it's a straw man, but this is your logic. I just put it into the same reason, but into a human condition. Oh, and Downs is not a form of human. It's a genetic disorder, but it is not another human type.
Suplex repeat.
In 2009, 80% of all antibiotics made worldwide was used on livestock and poultry.
Yeah, and because we're using so much antibiotics on animals, it's rapidly evolving those germs to be antibiotic resistant. If we were just using it on people, they'd still be evolving to be resistant, but not as quickly. Since we're using so much antibiotics on these animals, it's the perfect environment for these germs to become antibiotic resistant. And what we could end up doing is creating a bacterial infection, a disease that just can't be stopped with modern medicine, and it could just honestly be anywhere from Ebola to actual post-apocalyptic zombie virus.
Oh man, are you an anti-vaxxer as well? Oh, please make that video. You would become the gift that keeps on giving. I was pointing out how we humans pay good money to make sure these animals stay healthier than we do ourselves. Are you saying we should be greedy and say fuck off to these animals that can't treat themselves? Way to think of the animals' well-being. How vegan of you. At least you're not afraid to be a hypocrite.
Suplex repeat.
The reason for these stats is for two reasons. Reason number one, to keep us both intellectually honest. And two, if everyone switched to vegan or vegetarian diet, which is what your ultimate goal is?
I think Ask Yourself's goal is for everyone to go vegan, not vegetarian.
Which is why you wanted this debate, conversation, discussion, whatever it need to be. You would end up doing several things. 1. There would be a boom in these animals' population globally. 2. You would be forcing more of the world's population to suffer by starving to death because now all the food will become even more scarce. 3. Now you would give these animals a suffering death by starvation because now instead of eating them, we would be competing with them for the same food sources or space to grow them.
All three of those statements were entirely wrong. Point one there, there'll be a boom in their population. No, why would there be? We won't be breeding them anymore because everyone will be vegan, so there'll be a lot less of them, not more of them. We're not going to be breeding them if we're not using them, are we? Point two there, everyone's going to starve. No, they won't. Eating plants directly is more efficient than feeding those plants to animals and then eating the animals. everyone knows that whenever you sort of change energy from one thing to another, you always lose some. So it makes sense that it would be more efficient to just eat the plants directly. More efficient food, more food to go around, less people would starve, not more. That third point, though, that was actually kind of a combination of the first two when you think about it.
Oh, for fuck's sake, are you that fucked in the head? So these animals can't breed naturally. So if we tell these animals to fuck off and stop controlling how often they give birth, they will just die off? Next, look at all the not fit for human consumption crops. And why are these crops like this? For all the pesticides in the ground. Look, I realize how vegans argue against the, quote, "we have been doing this for years" argument. But hear me for just a moment, just a small moment. Whether vegans want to think that, poof, it's gone. Problem is that years of chemicals in the ground will make all these chemicals stay in the ground for a longer time. So, the crops will stay not fit for human consumption for years to come. So your argument falls on its face. So to combat that, it goes to the part of my video that I put out to Jack Green, which was out before this video by the Ugly Teddy. And now then, what about these vast farmlands that could only grow grass, which is ideal for these farm animals? If you can't grow crops on them, what will happen to these lands? Which then leads me into my final points. We are already at 26% of the world population starving, and that's still with eating meat. You cut out all the meat, and that 26 jumps to nearly 68% if I'm remembering the percentage correctly, which I think I am lowballing, to be honest. We can't grow enough plant food now to feed everyone as is, and that is including the GMOs. To be honest, this is more of a rant video, so I don't have every fact and figure in front of me, but if you go watch my previous two vegan videos, they are cited and sourced in there. Since now these abandoned farms would be useless, what will people do in survival thought do next? Well, to get enough crops to save the world from starving, deforestation for crops. And what does that do to the non-farm animals, such as, your tigers and your panthers and whatnot? That's right, extinction, to if not near extinction. Which then it also kills off the plant lives of these wild forests, tropical forests, whatever. And finally, the point 3 was about these animals we are doing so much harm to, whereas the first 2 points was about people. I realize that some vegans can't tell the difference, but there it is.
Smoke weed every day. Suplex repeat.
In closing, whether you like it or not, whether it's morally justified or not.
Whether it's morally justified or not. Yeah, I mean, I guess, is it okay to do morally abhorrent things for the greater good? Yeah, it's a bit of an uncomfortable thing, really, when you're saying it doesn't matter whether it's moral or not, it's necessary. I can kind of agree with that sentiment, but at the same time, it's not a place you want to be going to too much, I would say.
We as mankind, by raising these animals for consumption, we are saving more of their lives than ending them. These animals depend on us to kill them, to eat them, otherwise you're causing more suffering and death.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
We as mankind, by raising these animals for consumption, we are saving more of their lives than ending them. These animals depend on us to kill them, to eat them, otherwise you're causing more suffering and death.
In order for them to survive, they must be consumed. You have to be looking at it from a group perspective. You can't be looking at it at the individual level and make a statement like that, because obviously the individual cannot survive if it's consumed. I'm not sure whether you would look at stuff in this sort of collectivist manner where you only care about the species or the race or whatever instead of the individual. When thinking of groups of humans, I think you'd probably look at it on a more individual level, but for some reason with animals, you don't look at it on the individual level.
I think that was a funny meme in there. Good job. And no, I even look at people from a group perspective as well. But you didn't rebut my argument, did you? You didn't, did you? No, I didn't think you did.
Suplex repeat! And now he's not letting go. There's no release here. This is flat out punishment.
As the saying goes, too much of a good thing is bad. Does it break my heart knowing an animal would have to die so that I can live? Yes.
Well, if it breaks your heart so much, you shouldn't do it.
Well, you see, about 8 years ago, while I was going through my divorce, I was homeless. I had only eaten 2 packs of ramen noodles in a span of 2 weeks, which I split with my dog. So, in survivor mode, I was faced with the moral dilemma. And yes, I was at the point of thinking of 3 different options. 1. Kill my dog so she wouldn't starve to death, but eat her so I could survive. 2. Release her so she might have a fighting chance at hunting and living. Or 3. Trap and kill a wild animal so we could both live. I chose the 3rd. I trapped, killed, skinned, cooked, and ate a skunk. I had to be homeless in a rural area, so collecting bottles was out. And no rivers were near, so fishing was out. So does it break my heart? Yes. Was it necessary? Yes. Because it was about 2 weeks later when meeting my now current wife that I had another meal. Not my proudest moment in life, but in order to survive, it had to happen. Tell me, if you was in that very similar position, what would you have done?
Suplex repeat! He continues to wrap the arms around the waist, going for a 3rd time on the job.
Should people's lives have more value than these animals? Sadly, I believe so.
Of course, humans have more value than animals, but that doesn't mean we have a right to kill them. I would say that a healthy, fully functioning human has more value than a severely mentally handicapped human, but I don't think that gives the superior, the healthy human, the right to just kill that unhealthy, retarded human.
True. But in several situations, would you kill a pig if there was no other food around? I know you might call it gray area, but you see, I have lived and had to make these gray area calls. And if my life ever goes to shit again, I might have to make these calls again. So I'm not afraid to argue gray areas because a good percentage of my life has had to live in these gray area situations.
Suplex repeat! And Lester's not letting go. And this is relentless. Stop it!
You wanted to look at this intellectually honest. I would hope I was able to do just that. But in the end, what do I know? I'm just a crippled, washed-up amateur athlete that never went to college.
It seems a little bit like you're just trying to get the pity of whoever's listening so that they'll take your side with that line. I'm not a mind reader, so I don't know that that's what you're doing. So I'm not going to say that that is or isn't what you're doing. Perhaps it just felt like a natural thing to say. But just to me, it felt like you were just trying to get people's pity there.
Well, to clarify and to give context, this was my 3rd video, and I was still explaining who I am to my potential audience. So no, it wasn't pity or feel natural thing, just a glimpse of who I am and my educational background. So this might be just the ramblings of a dumbass, but I will continue to eat meat.
You will continue to eat meat. I have one question for you, and that is, hypothetically, if you were completely proven wrong and some vegan somewhere gives you an argument that completely convinces you that eating meat is wrong, would you change? Or would you, knowing that it was wrong, just continue to do it?
Absolutely. I put out so many of these vegan rebuttal videos for one of 2 things to happen. For one, for me to be proven wrong and to go vegan. Or 2, show vegans that they think backwards. Like left is right, day is night, night is day. And that vegans will start eating meat in order to do their part to save this planet.
So basically, in conclusion, Pagan Minotaur's whole argument seems to basically be that veganism would somehow be bad for the environment, and therefore we don't need to worry about the moral argument, which is on its own a very weak argument.
If it's so weak, then prove me wrong. You know, vegans have chosen to point and laugh at me instead of debunking me and show me the errors of my ways. But I welcome this discussion with open arms and bated breath.
Suplex repeat! Not another German suplex.
Because we could probably do a lot of good for the environment by killing humans, but I'm sure Pagan Minotaur wouldn't be okay with that, so therefore he's engaged in a double standard if the environment is his reason for killing animals. And on top of that, the argument is based on a lie, because veganism would be very good for the environment.
Citation needed then, because if environmentally speaking we could be smarter and protect all living things and survive, I would say sign me up, but until that happens, I will choose the lesser of the two great evils.
Suplex repeat! Still with the arms wrapped. Come on.
It's simply more efficient to eat plants directly than feed the plants to animals and then eat the animals. We would use a lot less food, a lot less water, a lot less land if we just ate the plants directly. And
what, have these animals fuck off and die to make you vegans feel better?
we could use the land and water that we'd save for other things, or let it stay in nature. On top of that, also cows and other animals, but mostly cows, produce a ton of greenhouse gases, which is contributing to climate change.
Yes, it is contributing to it, and there is no denying that. But can you show me a model of where we would be at if the, let's call them cow element for lack of a better term, if cows never existed? So that way we can do a side-by-side comparison and see exactly how much environmental harm cows are doing. I know I can't find said charts, graphs, or comparisons.
Suplex repeat! Second time. Suplex repeat!
Which is something that only animals do. Plants obviously remove greenhouse gases. Another thing is the fact that we are creating these super germs in these factory farms with these antibiotic stuffed animals, which, you know, could actually kill millions. They could kill millions.
You know, with points like that, you really, really, really sound like an anti-vaxxer. Oh man, I would come in my pants if you turned out to be one. Because I'm pretty sure, response video speaking, your ass would be busier than a test bench at a plunger factory. And not just from me.
Basically, everything he says is backwards, and up is down, down is up, hot is cold, cold is hot, and yeah.
You suck at this. You really do.
Beep brilliant, 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 beep brilliant.
You lose.
I am so glad that you noticed that. My entire argument stands from looking at the vegan endgame and walking it from the end to the beginning. So all I'm doing is pointing it out. That's why I call veganism the planet-killing diet.
One other thing is that he's been going around thinking that Ask Yourself is avoiding him because his arguments are so good and so clever. And he thinks that Ask Yourself is scared of him, I think, is the thing, or that he can't debunk it, so therefore he's just ignoring it and being like, oh, he's talked about this in another video. But I think, now I don't know this for sure, but I think the more reasonable explanation is the fact that Ask Yourself is motivated by wanting to spread the message of veganism.
Now let me stop you right there, because that's exactly the same thought I had. That's why I had pushed so hard to get my message out to him. I felt that he truly wanted to get to as many non-vegans to go vegan as possible. That was the premise of his whole Skeptics Challenge. On the surface, it looked that way, at least.
And you have a very small channel, so what would he have? What would he get? He would barely spread it to anyone if he were to debate you. On the flip side, you constantly pushing to try and get him to debate. You're trying to bait him in. You're saying, oh, you aren't. It just ends up looking like you're the one trying to grow your channel, because in the end, he's a massive channel, and you would benefit a lot if he debated you. Anyway, lots of love. Bye-bye.
But after diving into that rabbit hole myself, and with the help of a few others, we were able to prove that he was just a whinging spaz baiting skeptics to debate him for that chance at super chat money. And I had big channels going to bat for me. Ones that are bigger than his channel. Some was up to 20k subs. But also Ask Yourself has made response videos to 2 to 3 sub count channels. And yes, I know for damn sure my videos are made in front of him. For that I have proof. But I still think he is ignoring me. And I pointed out his hypocrisy in one of my other videos. Most of these YouTube vegans, or at least the ones I've been experienced with, are hypocrites. So I want to thank you for listening in. This has been part 1 of these. Next part is going to be just a little bit sweeter. Alright, thank you.
If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.